I do not believe that Daenerys Targaryen will go mad in The Winds of Winter or A Dream of Spring if we ever receive it. A lot of people have this belief, partially due to the TV show and partially due to some of the things that are in the actual text, and I feel to come to the conclusion that Daenerys Targaryen will go full Mad Queen and burn down King's Landing is to misunderstand what George R. R. Martin is trying to say with the character of Daenerys. So, the number one piece of textual evidence that people use to show that Daenerys will be going mad is her final chapter in A Dance with Dragons, which is also her final chapter thus far in the entire story. Now, this chapter has a lot to do with Daenerys Targaryen embracing fire and blood. She spends a large portion of this chapter starving and very ill. She has really bad diarrhea that is coming out like blood. She is kind of in a daze for the majority of the chapter, just walking, and she's left contemplating everything that she has done up until this point and how she has to progress in order to move her cause forward. Now, a lot of people, I feel, misunderstand what Daenerys Targaryen is doing or trying to do with Meereen and just with Essos in general. She views Essos as a trial run, in a way, for what she could potentially do with Westeros. She says many times that if she can't run Meereen, how can she expect to rule the Seven Kingdoms? So specifically in Book 5, her journey is trying to figure out what kind of leader does Daenerys want to be? And the conclusion that she comes to is she has to be a leader that very much bends to the will of the people of Meereen. That is why, throughout the majority of the book, we have Daenerys chaining up the dragons. Her chaining up Rhaegal and Viserion is symbolic of Daenerys tying down her heritage and the things that she has earned on her journey in order to appease the people of Meereen. The issue is, the people that she is trying to appease will never be happy with Daenerys in power, and will only be happy if they end up being allowed to have slaves. This is a city that was built off of the back of slavery and slavers, and this type of oppressive regime is not something that Daenerys Targaryen can fix, and that is the unfortunate realization that she comes to throughout A Dance with Dragons. The question now is, what can she do about this? And the decision that she makes in her final chapter of A Dance with Dragons is that when she gets back to Meereen, the only thing that can liberate the people, the only way she can make positive change, is with fire and blood. She talks about how Aegon the Conqueror and his sister wives didn't take the Seven Kingdoms by being nice and playing by Westeros' rule. No, they took it by imposing themselves onto the people. They used their dragons to take control of the continent. But what's really important and what a lot of people get wrong about the Conquerors and Daenerys Targaryen is the Conquerors weren't necessarily cruel. Their goal wasn't to kill as many people as possible and go mad king and queens. Their ideology was more to use the dragons as a warning. A lot of people in the Seven Kingdoms didn't even bother fighting against the Conquerors because they took one look at these three gigantic dragons and said, yeah, it's not even worth the fight. You guys are all way too powerful. We're just gonna bend now and avoid any bloodshed. And that is the decision that Daenerys makes at the end of her final chapter. She is coming to the conclusion that in order to create peace, in order to have the most amount of good be spread to the most amount of people in Essos, she cannot chain up the Targaryen part of her. She can't chain up her dragons anymore. She can't ignore the fact that she is from fire and blood and that she is powerful. So I think we're going to get to Daenerys in The Winds of Winter that still has that warmth that we know her to have, but isn't going to be taking shit anymore. She's not going to allow her beliefs and what she desires and what she feels to be right to be trampled over by people who are slavers, by people who are oppressors, and by people who have been ruining the lives of others for hundreds of years. It's just going to be a Daenerys Targaryen that is less willing to have her own beliefs and views on the world corrupted by people that she now knows will never engage with her in good faith. And I think this logic that she's going to use in Essos, she will apply to Westeros as well. She is going to be taking Westeros and taking back Meereen by conquest. It's not going to just be sunshine and rainbows all the time, and this is something that Daenerys Targaryen understands. Now, with all that being said, I do believe that Daenerys will play a massive role in burning down King's Landing eventually. But I don't think she is going to be the sole reason it happens, and I don't think this is something she's going to want to happen. I believe that in the Winds of Winter, Daenerys is going to be far more willing to use her dragons. And no matter how much I love Daenerys, no matter how cool I think that she is, I do not believe she will be able to fully control the power that she has. I feel that in some way she will get in over her head or cause destruction that she does not mean to cause. And we know that as it stands right now, there is someone with a lot of PTSD that is going to be at King's Landing when Daenerys arrives, that being Jon Connington. Not only that, but assuming Cersei Lannister is there as well, Cersei has an obsession with wildfire. She wants to just watch things burn. Cersei Lannister is the true Mad Queen and the second coming of Aerys the Mad King Targaryen. I think what's going to happen is Daenerys is going to get to King's Landing, and there is going to be some type of conflict in which she uses the dragons. And her dragonfire, through Jon Connington slowly losing his mind with PTSD and grayscale, and Cersei trying to get the kingdom to burn just on her own, Daenerys will somehow light a fuse that will burn down a massive part of King's Landing. So Daenerys right now has a match, and she is going towards a gasoline and oil spill in front of her, but she doesn't know that it's there. So I think she will accidentally light the fire that will burn down King's Landing, but not because she wants to, but because she wasn't careful enough and didn't assume enough about her enemies. Daenerys just having her mind snap in the show is ludicrous. It is character assassination in its rawest form, and I fully believe and am willing to place a lot of money on the idea that this will not happen in the books. That somehow, yes, George may have told him that King's Landing will burn and Daenerys will be involved, but I highly, highly doubt that Daenerys will do it intentionally, and if she did, I would be very disappointed. But yeah, that is the biggest misconception about Daenerys Targaryen, that she is going to go mad because her final chapter in A Dance with Dragons shows that she's going to be far more intense. And if you are the kind of person that is going to use this skewed logic, this applies to many other characters as well. I find it very interesting how people think Daenerys is going to go mad based off of her final few chapters in A Dance with Dragons, but not Jon, even though we know from Lady Stoneheart and other people that have come back that in this world, when people come back from the dead, they are not the same. They are often far worse and far more aggressive. And I think out of the two main characters, Daenerys will be the softer one, and Jon will be the one that is more aggressive and more hateful, while I think Daenerys will be far more willing to use a power that she doesn't quite have full control over. So, with all that being said, if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments down below what you think about my theory. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And just in general, what do you think about the books? Again, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Peace.